Okay, press the button, which means we're live, and it is the final show, I guess, until the end of time. I don't know. I mean,
Are we gonna do like a championship game talk, or?
I guess we could on Monday,
I
right?
mean,
That
I
would
don't
work.
really
Yeah.
care. That's up to you.
All right.
You're the one in charge.
Fine by me. All right, we're going to cover a lot of things here, not just the Final Four. We are going to have a guest joining us here soon. So
I guess I remember what happened last time we tried to do this. They never showed up.
what do you
Until
what?
late.
We
We
had
had
a
to
guest on
reschedule.
technically.
Remember? Not
Yeah,
on this one, but on
okay.
the other one.
I don't understand. What
Obviously.
did I
Anyways,
miss something?
yeah, I'll tell
Which
you
one are you
later.
talking about? Okay, fine. Put it in the private chat if you want. So yeah, we'll talk about many of things, not just the Final Four, which is happening tomorrow, apparently, and you know, it's an okay Final Four, I guess. I think for the average fan, probably not a lot of buzz there.
I saw first time that 4 teams are in the Final Four, and they're all east of the Mississippi. I don't know what that
Yeah, I saw that too.
entails. I guess it just means that Duke and North Carolina and
Kentucky. Is
Kentucky
Kentucky
aren't. I don't
okay?
know.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know where
geography.
Mississippi is. Yeah, that's not
Who
what we're
cares at
doing
this
here.
point, And
This isn't a geography class.
I mean, hey, that's just the way it goes. Cross the fingers and all that stuff. All
That's
right.
right.
So there's a lot of transfers in the portal. If I go to verbal commits right now,
Oh,
there is
so
a
many
lot of
transfers.
transfers, 1,180 according to this. I don't have access to the
What
official
did
portal,
what
but
did we say? How many kids are playing college basketball right now? Like
like over 4,000.
4,000. A
Yeah, I mean the
fourth.
biggest
That's crazy.
names that have joined, the biggest name that joined today. I mean, you had Nesbitt, who was a four-star top 70 player from Memphis, who had one point
Reclassed.
one
Yeah.
rebound. Yeah, and then Brady Manick, who was a four-year starter at Oklahoma. He's leaving, and then you have the fact that um, Porter Moser is going to Oklahoma and leaving Loyola Chicago. I mean, you have to think if Loyola Chicago beats Oregon State and he gets the Elite Eight, maybe he doesn't leave.
Yeah, I find this weird. I don't know. Like, why didn't he leave the first time? Just didn't want to. Trying to build it
What would
more.
he have been offered the first time? I don't even remember.
I don't remember who else was in that, but
Well, let's just put it this
who had
way.
openings at that time.
There were rumors that he might go to DePaul, which would have been a horrible move. This is better. He's going to
True.
a program that's in pretty good shape. I mean, Lon Kruger, it's not like they're just firing a coach. They had a coach retire.
Yeah.
And honestly, Texas Tech is probably a better job, but maybe Texas Tech didn't want him. I think if I'm Texas Tech, I would want Joe Golding, who is basically the closest thing to Chris Beard that they're going to get.
Yeah, in
If they want to
Oklahoma,
keep it
I
the
mean,
same.
they've kind of had a little bit more time after. I mean, because Lon, as soon as what was it, the next day, announced he was going to retire. So.
Yeah, it was a little bit. It was a little over a week ago, I guess. But
yeah. So I don't know.
we'll talk about
maybe.
Roy Williams when the guest joins. I want to talk about the North Carolina job. We'll also talk about Porter Moser. But I mean, if he's going to leave Loyola Chicago, I'm a little bit surprised that he did go to this one. But I guess you never know, right? And
I mean, Oklahoma's a good job. So I don't know where else he would have went. You don't. I mean,
it
North
is a good
Carolina
job.
wasn't going to be knocking on his door, were they?
Yeah, I doubt it. They want Jerry Stackhouse or whatever. So, all right, we'll put the guest on now. Sean Paul joins us. Let's at Sean O2 M2M on Twitter. I didn't even have it pulled up. I should have had it pulled up. MakingTheMaddest.com, all that stuff. Sean, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Let's
good,
talk
man.
about what just broke, which was Porter Moser to Oklahoma, and the fact that Loyola Chicago apparently countered with an insane offer. And I know that you think that Drew Valentine should get the first look for the Loyola Chicago job. What do you think about Porter Moser finally leaving Loyola Chicago and then going to Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think it was only a matter of time before Porter Moser opted to leave. What he's been able to do there is miraculous. I mean, Loyola Chicago, I feel like the casual fan didn't even know what a Loyola Chicago was before like 4 years ago. So the fact that they're now like a household name in college basketball, they've been to a Final Four, they've been to a Sweet 16. He's just created that program into something that's going to be memorable now. Kind of like Brad Stevens did at Butler. I don't know if they'll have the same sustained success that Butler's had, but we'll see what happens. But I definitely love the hire for Oklahoma. Losing Lon Kruger, that's probably unexpected. I didn't see it happening, but you couldn't get a better hire than Porter Moser. Similar to Chris Beard going to Texas, those were your top options without a doubt, and that's who they ended up with. So it's definitely a great hire for both teams there.
All right, so I'm looking at Drew Valentine here. He's an assistant at Loyola Chicago. You'd think that it would make sense if they're going to replace Porter Moser to stay in-house or stay with a guy that is close to that job. Do you think there's anybody else other than him that might get a look for the Ramblers?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll look other places. I'm not sure who they'd look at, but I think the smart move is definitely Drew Valentine. He's brother of Denzel Valentine. Not that has anything to do with it, just interesting to me. But yeah, I think he's going to be a very good head coach. I think that's who they're ultimately going to pick. The players love him. He's well respected around there, and I feel like most people around the industry feel like he's a very high-end assistant coach. And if Loyola Chicago doesn't hire him, which they absolutely should, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to Oklahoma with Porter Moser.
All right, let's real quick talk about Chris Beard going to Texas. And I think that the thing here is I don't understand how the AD at Texas Tech, whose name I don't know off the top of my head, was blindsided by this. Like, okay, I just thought that this was like obvious, right? I didn't know if Beard would actually leave to do it, but if he was going to go somewhere, Texas is the job that he was probably going to go for. And also, people forget he was the head coach, quote unquote, at UNLV for like 2 weeks before leaving to go to Texas Tech. And I know that we agree on this, that Joe Golding should absolutely get the first look for Texas Tech. And, what do you think about Beard going to Texas? I think it's a great hire for Texas, but how do you think he's going to do there?
Home run hire. I mean, there wasn't a better hire. They're looking at Royal Ivy and a few other guys. I don't think Royal Ivy would have been bad, but the hire was Chris Beard without a doubt. Just hand him a blank check, and whatever he wants, you give it to him. But that's where he went to school. It's his alma mater. He's a graduate assistant there. When that job opened, seemed pretty inevitable that he was going to take it if the offer lined up, and he didn't give Texas Tech a chance to counter, which the AD didn't like, but that just shows it wasn't about the money. That's where he wanted to be. He wanted to be at Texas, and, I get Texas Tech fans are mad. I don't blame them for being upset because they lost their coach, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and, nobody cared about Texas Tech before Chris Beard got there pretty much. Tubby Smith, he didn't have a very good tenure there. Neither did Billy Gillespie or Pat Knight. So after going from a decade of irrelevancy to becoming a national championship, being seconds away from winning a championship, and then being a contender every season for the next few years after that, I feel like, you don't have to like Chris Beard, but I think you should, at least respect the decision because he brought Texas Tech to new heights, and a lot of coaches are going to want that job.
So the big job open now is North Carolina with Roy Williams retiring, and you get the sense that they're going to stay in-house for this one or go with someone that's close to the program. I know Wes Miller from UNC Greensboro. You got, what's-his-face, the assistant, Hubert, don't even know his last name.
Davis.
There you go. I would have gotten that in like 30 seconds, but it is what it is. Jerry Stackhouse, I think, would be a horrible hire. That's just my opinion.
I
can't believe that that's even thought about.
There's about 60 guys I would hire before Jerry Stackhouse. Like I wouldn't even call him. I wouldn't do it. If he calls me, I'm hanging up the phone.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that like he hasn't done a good job at Vanderbilt. He's done a lot of stupid things there, including DMing Vanderbilt fans or whatever the hell that whole thing was. The only thing that he does well there is he has a nice suit when he coaches. Good for him. So other than that, he's done terrible.
And he's recruited well. But, that doesn't mean anything if you're not winning games. And the DMing Vanderbilt fans, obviously Vanderbilt's a tough job. But if UNC had a terrible year, if they hire him hypothetically, in his first year they suck and don't make the tournament, he's not going to last there because he's going to go off on fans. That's just not someone you want as your coach.
Yeah, I think if you're North Carolina, you got to go with someone who's actually had some success, whether that's being an assistant or – as a head coach. I know Wes Miller has won the SoCon a few times. I think he would be a good hire, but I saw that. I mean, I'd probably, give a call to Tony Bennett, Virginia. I know they think highly of him. I don't know if he would leave for it. I mean, I'm assuming he would if he got more money and a better offer, right? I mean, you'd think. I know he's done great things at Virginia, but North Carolina is a different job.
Yeah, I don't think he's a Virginia lifer, and like you make a lot of calls like Wes Miller and Hubert Davis. Obviously, I think one of those two inevitably gets the job. But you call Mark Few. I don't think Mark Few's going to take it like at all. Like he might not even answer the phone. But you call Mark Few multiple times until he blocks your number, probably, and then you call Tony Bennett. You call whatever other guys you feel like might take the job. You just call whoever because it's North Carolina. You can kind of just call whoever you want. Like call Mike Boynton if you wanted to. Call Nate Oates, call whoever, Eric Musselman. I know Arkansas fans don't like that at all, but call whoever you think might want the job, and until they say no, just entertain it, carry out the process, and then you'll probably end up with Wes Miller or Hubert Davis, but both those options are very good.
Do you think that North Carolina gets into like the trend of, trying to coach out for 3 years and then, letting them go and find somebody? I mean, you had Dean Smith and then you had, 2 other guys that were there for a total of 6 years. And then you have Roy Williams, who's been there since, 18 years now. Do you think that they get a lifer guy, or do you think that they're going to start this, every few guys? Because North Carolina wasn't great this year.
Yeah, I think North Carolina being not very good the past 2 years is a big reason why Roy retired. He said, he wasn't the man for the job, which I highly disagree with. He's old, but like he's Roy Williams. Yeah. Like he's the guy for the job. Like, but
it's got to take it out of you being a coach and traveling and doing. Yeah. I get it.
But. Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I think they go with a guy that they feel like can be there for the long haul, which is why I think they hire Wes Miller. He's only 38 years old. He's been a head coach for a decade. Not often do you see guys that are not even 40 be a head coach for a decade, make multiple NCAA tournaments, and become a powerhouse in the SoCon. I think that Wes Miller's a hire. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Hubert Davis, but if Wes Miller's a hire, like he could be there for 30 years. Like he's that young. If he's coaches there till he's 70, that's a 32-year stint. Like that's a long time.
He played there, and he's from Greensboro, so that definitely checks a couple boxes. I think that would be a great hire. Now, let me ask you this one. I know we both think that Joe Golding should be one of the top guys for Texas Tech. What do you actually think happens with that job?
Sounds like Grant McCaslin from Texas Tech or from North Texas might be the front runner right now. But man, I would go with Joe Golding. He's so similar to Chris Beard in a lot of ways, and they happen to be like best friends. But they're similar in a lot of ways. Just they like playing tough defense. They'll get the most out of your guys. Like the Abilene Christian team, I watched a lot of them this season, and there wasn't a guy on the team like Clay Gaiman was solid, but he got hurt here and there. Colton Cole was pretty good. Arion Simmons, Corian Mason, those are all solid players, but none are great players. Like I don't know how many of those guys are going to play pro ball anywhere, but Joe Pleasant too, obviously, who's transferring now. But those are all guys that are like solid players, but he got the most out of them and had them play tough on defense. That translates anywhere as long as you get guys to buy into your system. So I think that him at Texas Tech would be a great fit. I think, he's not going to be Chris Beard, but he can bring them to tournaments pretty often. I think Grant McCaslin would be a pretty good hire too. He's won everywhere he's been, whether it's a D2 or I think he's JUCO coach for a bit and obviously North Texas. I think you can't go wrong with either of those two.
What a story that would be. You have Texas loses to Joe Golding and Abilene Christian. Shaka Smart leaves because he was probably going to get fired if he didn't win a couple tournament games the next season. Goes to Marquette. Joe Golding and Chris Beard are best friends. Chris Beard gets the Texas job. Joe Golding gets the Texas Tech job. I mean, that would be quite something. And,
it's all because Abilene beat Texas. Yeah, and it's all because Abilene beat Texas.
All goes back to that one thing. Joe Pleasant making those free throws, big deal too. So let's discuss a little bit of transfer before we get into the Final Four. We are Illini fans, so we want to know, do you think that – or are you surprised that Adam Miller entered the transfer portal? Because I didn't feel like he was that great of a fit at Illinois because he's not going to handle the ball or be the playmaker because obviously Io or Curbelo will do that this year. Curbelo is going to be the guy next year. And he's 6'2", so he's not going to be a prime-time spot-up shooter like they want him to be, I don't think. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know why Adam Miller went to Illinois. Like, I assumed when Io announced he was coming back,
he wasn't
whenever that was, June or July. Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna. I thought he was gonna decommit. Like, I didn't know why he still went to Illinois because it was obviously wasn't to handle the ball this season. I thought next season he was going to. I didn't expect Andre Curbelo to burst onto the scene like this so fast. Obviously, he's the future of the Illinois program. So I guess I'm not surprised that he transferred. I didn't really think about it, though. So, like, if I thought about it, I'd be like, he could transfer. But it makes a lot of sense. And, he's probably going to end up, Michigan is one, but, like, does he really fit there either? Then you think
Michigan
about
has way too many stars coming for him to. I feel like Adam Miller is a guy that wants to be the guy.
What about Arizona?
I was going to say, I think one of the two Arizona schools where he ends up, because I know Arizona and Arizona State recruit him pretty heavily, I believe. So I could see him landing at one of those two spots. And obviously, Bobby Hurley at Arizona State, he has that guard you thing going on there. He lets his guards play free, and Adam Miller would certainly handle the ball there. So if he landed at Arizona State, I would not be surprised at all. Kind of the same deal with Arizona. James Akinjo's leading the show right now, but if you can get Adam Miller, you can take Akinjo off the ball a little bit and let Adam Miller run the show. I think he lands with one of the two Arizona schools for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the other one I have before we talk about the Final Four is what do you think if Cameron Krutwig takes the extra year now? What do you think happens with him now with Porter Moser going to Oklahoma? Do you think he stays at Loyola Chicago if he plays another season, or do you think he goes
he can still
elsewhere?
be a grad transfer without that, right? I mean,
I guess
he could have went. But anyways.
What do you think happens?
Yeah, I think if he comes back, I think he transfers probably just to see what's out there. But I don't get the sense that he is even thinking about it. I feel like he's probably just going to go play overseas.
He could make a lot of money there. He has the similar style as a foreign big. He's got tremendous footwork.
Oh, yeah.
And he can score underneath. He would definitely fit great over there. So let's talk about the Final Four. The first game tomorrow is the Houston-Baylor game. And I do think that Baylor will probably win this game, but I think people are kind of overlooking how good Houston actually is. Now, the big key for them is obviously making shots and controlling the glass, which is going to be harder to do against Baylor than it was against Oregon State. How do you look at this matchup, and who do you think wins it?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, Houston's been severely underrated throughout coming into the tournament. Like, a lot of people had them, like, I had them losing to West Virginia, but I was just irrationally high on West Virginia. Obviously, that didn't work out. But, yeah, I mean, Houston does one thing really well, two things really. They play hard because that's what Kelvin Sampson gets out of his guys, and they rebound 40% of their shots that they miss. Like, that is fantastic. Like, if you're rebounding nearly half the shots you miss, you're going to get a lot of shots up and you're going to win a lot of basketball games. But the thing is, they just haven't hit a lot of those shots. Like, Quentin Grimes struggled against Oregon State. That's a big reason why the game was close. Marcus Sasser hasn't been consistent in the tournament. They need those two guys to really hit shots because they're going to get offensive rebounds. I believe on Ken Palm, Baylor is like 272nd in defensive rebounding percentage. They really struggle in the defensive glass. So if Houston's able to capitalize on them, they can hit shots off their offensive rebounds, then they can certainly win the game. But if you're just, getting offensive rebounds and not hitting the shot, it doesn't really do anything. So, if Quentin Grimes has a big game, I could certainly see Houston winning. But I just think Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler are going to be too much for Houston to handle. I think Baylor has been the second best team pretty much all season. Might have been Illinois here or there. But I think Baylor ultimately gets the national championship.
Yeah, I think Mark Vidal is going to play a huge role in this game. If he can defend and rebound for them, he needs to do those things. But I'd sign up for a couple of Maceo Teague hitch daggers with that shot. That would be fun. He did do that against Arkansas.
He got
a couple
that Sean
times.
Marion jumper. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so weird. I don't understand how that why does he he has the hitch sometimes and other times he doesn't?
It's only when he's slowing down the game. When he's in motion, he's fine. But when he gets time, there's that
transition three,
it's not
and he's
pretty.
wide open.
Yeah, it's not pretty at all.
No, but it goes in.
And he had it. Yeah. You're telling me a guy with that shot could hit 10 threes in a game, which he did against Texas Tech? I mean, that's amazing to me. But I don't know if there's that much to talk about with the other game. I really don't think UCLA has a chance. And I don't know why people are saying that UCLA is I don't even think they're – can you consider them a Cinderella because of their name? Probably not. But they're also not that good either. I don't understand how they've made this run. They were helped by Michigan just being abysmal offensively down the stretch. And then they played Abilene Christian. Yeah. And then they played Abilene Christian in the second round. which Abilene Christian, they played well defensively, but they play the type of style that's going to wear themselves down, and they really don't have the size or offense to win multiple games in the tournament. It's really hard to do that. They did beat Alabama, which was a great win, but they were helped by Alabama missing 14 free throws. And Herb Jones looked like he'd never shot a free throw in that game. I don't know what happened there.
Brutal, yeah.
And then BYU, obviously, they didn't have their fastball in that game. They just got beat the entire game, and then Michigan State blew that game. So UCLA has no chance. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't like to do this in the Final Four, but I just don't think they do. And you're telling me that Drew Timme can do what he did to Evan Mobley, and he's not going to do that to Cody Riley? I mean, he's going to have 30 and 20 if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
But honestly, Gonzaga hasn't even played a complete game that they would be happy with, and they're still winning by a lot. Like the Creighton game, they weren't that great overall. They've just been saved by the fact they make their twos. That's all they do. They finish. They haven't shot that well from three in the tournament, but they make their twos. So what do you think about this matchup, and will UCLA keep it within, let's say, 18 points?
What's the spread, 14?
14, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can easily cover the spread. I think I actually have it in my prediction I wrote up on Making the Madness. There's a car going by. Hold up, it's kind of loud. Or it might be a motorcycle. Yeah, motorcycle. But okay, he's gone. But yeah, I think I had Gonzaga winning by exactly 18. I think they'll win by they'll be up like 25. Like they were up like 26 or something like that late against USC. But when it's late in the game, you don't have to put put the gas on the brakes, really. You can kind of just let it flow, and whatever happens. They'll put in the bench late in the game because they don't want to wear their guys out. I think it won't be a very close game because Gonzaga's just that much better. I think they're that much better than everybody, and I've thought that all season. They're just one of the people don't like when I say this, but they're the best. I wasn't alive in 1976, so I can't speak on the 1976 Indiana team. But I think this Gonzaga team is the best team I've ever seen. And going undefeated hasn't happened that long or since then for a reason. It's hard to do. You can get into the tournament undefeated. That doesn't happen often either. But no matter what conference you play in, you're probably going to slip up at some point. Gonzaga just hasn't this season. It's not going to happen here. They're going to win pretty easily. And I think they beat Baylor or Houston pretty easily, too. I just think they're that much better than everybody.
Yeah, they've had everything thrown at them, and they haven't blinked once. I mean, it's incredible. I don't even know. I don't know why I had Baylor over them for a little bit in the season, which I did because Baylor was so dominant early before they had the pause. But, I mean, I'm still surprised that Kentucky team in 2015 didn't go undefeated, to be honest. That's the type of lineup right there that's like unbeatable for that long just because they had so much size and they just controlled games like it was nothing. They had a guy who's an NBA star now that was on the bench. I mean, that team was so good. But Tyler, you got anything else?
Just one thing going back to coaching. What are your thoughts on Kansas signing Bill Self to a lifetime contract when there's still allegations out there, stuff out there? It's still pending. And I was just seeing now he's guaranteed half his salary, even if those allegations are correct.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it at all. Like, I wasn't going to be surprised if when they lost to USC by 34 or whatever, that would have been his last game at Kansas. Not because they would have fired him, like, voluntarily, I guess, but because I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a 1 or 2 year suspension, because it seems like the NCAA has quite a bit on him. So he's probably going to get suspended for a decent period of time. Kansas is probably going to get a ban. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not playing in next year's NCAA tournament because they'll be banned from it. Depending on what happens with investigation, I think they have quite a bit enough on Kansas to ban them from an NCAA tournament, maybe two. They're going to throw the book at the NCAA at Kansas and Bill Self without a doubt. I don't know why they did this. It seems pretty nonsensical to me. I wouldn't have done it at all, but I guess they're going to do what they're going to do. I don't even think he's a great coach either. Like, I think he's a fine coach, but like they could do better, I feel like.
He recruits talent. It's the coaching aspect of it that is not. Yeah.
You don't lose at Kansas. Like, if you're a subpar coach, you're going to win at Kansas.
Yeah, the name gets you talent. So,
What about Sean Miller? What's going on with him?
I don't even know at this point. Like, I don't think he's a good coach either. So I think they could have fired him just for being a bad coach. But it seems like nothing might happen there, kind of just based on what they said. I think they only have one thing against Sean Miller. So he's probably not going to get in trouble at all, maybe like a small suspension. I doubt it'd even be a full season. Arizona took that self-imposed ban. So we'll see if the NCAA, doesn't ban them now, I guess. They would have been a tournament team, so I'm not sure why they did that. But, I don't think he's a good coach. So if they have a bad next couple years, he might get fired anyways. But they could be really good next year. They have a ton of talent returning.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting situation. I think both Arizona teams have chance to, or the two main ones, I guess, have a chance to get back into the tournament next year. All right, Sean, thanks for joining us, man. We'll catch up probably later in the offseason. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so that was Sean Paul, who is at Sean Paul, or at Sean02M2M on the Twitter, writer, podcaster for MakingTheMadness.com.
Also makes some great clothes.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Not that, Sean. I was trying to throw that in with him, and then you cut me off. I didn't even get to say.
You know what? That would have been stupid. So,
I was going to do it, so you were embarrassed. But
USBWA member, of course. USA Today, Mountain West Wire sports media writer or something. So that's what that says. So there's your plug. That was good. I mean, I think he was outside, so the mic probably wasn't as good as it could have been, but that's fine. We got a lot of information there.
Yeah,
a lot of things to discuss. I think that he broke that. He's broken a lot of transfer news, but he did break that Ed Conroy, who's a Minnesota assistant, was the leader for the Utah State job. So we'll see what happens with that job. I mean, here's how I look at the whole Porter Moser thing. I'm slightly surprised that he left for a Big 12 school. He strikes me as a Midwest guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was always, he loves Chicago. I don't know where, but I mean, what are you going to get in Chicago?
Yeah, these hires have, I guess it's always this way, but these hires have been really underwhelming. It's always like that, though, right? Like there's all this hype, like, oh, Beeline's going to come back, Brad Stevens to Indiana, like that type of shit, and then it ends up being nothing. I don't even care at this point. It's the end of the season, so the big splash hires are Porter Moser to Oklahoma, Chris Beard to Texas, and Craig Smith to Utah. Those are the splash hires. Ben Johnson to Minnesota, no splash. Mike Woodson, Indiana, absolutely no splash. That's about it, right? I mean,
I tell you what, Woodson got Trace Jackson Davis to not only come back, but to say that he believed in what he was going to do. So
it can't be that hard to do that, though. Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, Trace,
we're going to give you the ball every time down the court.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks. I mean, yeah, I guess Pat Kelsey to Charleston's a pretty good hire with what he did at Winthrop. That's a good hire, I guess. I have a strong feeling that there will not be a splash hire from North Carolina, because I think for it to be that, it would have to be like Tony Bennett. That's like the only one I could see.
Yeah.
And that I doubt that's going to happen. I mean, there's been some good hires, but not the splash hire, right? I mean, you're
getting no splash. I get it.
Like low key good hire, like TJ Otzelberger to Iowa State. Low key good hire. Shante Legans leaving Eastern Washington to go to Portland. Pretty good hire. New Mexico getting Richard Pitino could be good because now he's not in a conference where everybody's good. He'll be able to underperform in a different conference. That should be fun for them. And then that's really all I look at overall. So, I mean, that's kind of the routine.
Yeah.
Every year. Kim English, I think, is going to do really well at George Mason. Have a great feeling about that one. And yeah, so you think Adam Miller is going to go to Missouri?
Oh, no. It sounds like he's going to Arizona.
Go to Arizona State. If he wants me to root for him, he should go to Arizona State.
I mean, Bobby Hurley's pulling some transfers, right?
And I'd rather play for Bobby Hurley than douchebag Sean Miller.
True that.
Mean, seriously.
True.
At least Bobby Hurley had a good career in college and played, which I really don't care about. But if we're going to put him up against Sean Miller, who's a pig who sweats through his shirts like it's nobody's business, then yeah. That's kind of my thoughts on Sean Miller.
Yeah.
Who should have been fired a long time ago.
If you listen to the other one. So that would be interesting, though, is Illinois going to go – they're going to go back to that – like Arizona has to come to Illinois, right?
It's a home and home, so it'd be this
Yeah,
season.
they
Someone
can't-
goes somewhere, and the next
Well,
season.
they canceled this season because of COVID.
Yeah, they're going to move it back to 21 and 22. Both seasons. This season and next season, it'll be home and home.
What? Illinois already played there.
That didn't count. They came up
They
with a
threw
new
that
one.
one out, huh? I got you.
No, like they didn't sign the deal for the home and home until before this season.
Ah, I got you. Okay.
That's how I took it.
I don't know. I was asking you because you're smarter than me.
I don't know if I'd say that, but
Anyways,
I mean, let's talk about some of the Final Four stuff.
okay. I mean, we're getting Gonzaga Baylor, right? I mean,
I'd be surprised
game-
if it wasn't.
if there's anybody out there that, because I was pretty upset when they didn't play the first time. I think that every basketball fan wants Gonzaga Baylor, right? Nobody wants to see UCLA and Houston.
Oh, that
What's
would be a nightmare.
A UCLA and Houston fan.
Any championship game this
I
year
don't want to
that
see a
involves
40.
UCLA
What's
is
the score of
embarrassing.
that Michigan game? 49-52 or something? 51?
51-49. With Gonzaga Baylor, you'd probably be like in the 80s, I'd bet. So I don't see any scenario where Gonzaga loses. So I think you can lock them in. If they're not in, though, the NCAA is in big trouble.
True.
It would be disastrous ratings-wise to have UCLA in there because nobody cares about UCLA basketball right now.
I mean, unless, people root for the underdog, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more people rooting for UCLA in that game than Gonzaga.
Because they're losers.
Well, just the casual fans, the
Who
casual.
the hell? I don't care if you're a casual or not. Who the hell wants to watch UCLA in the national championship? That team sucks, honestly. They're not good.
Underdogs, man. Are you
They're
going to cry if Gonzaga loses?
Yes, to UCLA, yeah. If they lose to Baylor, my bracket's correct, so suck on that.
True.
If they win, everyone will shut the hell up about how they can't survive in the Big Ten.
True.
So, I mean, here's my thought on this whole thing. This UCLA team is not any good, honestly. I mean, this is a great run, good for Mick Cronin, all that stuff. This team's not good. They're the typical Cinderella that isn't that good and then gets smoked when they finally lose, which is what's going to happen tomorrow. So,
Correct.
like, who has watched UCLA in this tournament and said, wow, that is a really good team? They had to come back to beat Michigan State. BYU looked like they'd never shot a basketball before. Abilene Christian has no offense and is dead. Alabama shot 11 for 25 from the free throw line, and Michigan couldn't make a layup.
The thing is, you don't have to be good. All you got to do is win. And that's what they've done. So good on them.
Yeah, but they're not good. So that's kind of – they've
you know
won a
what's
great
funny?
run, but they're not good.
You know what's funny? Like every bracket that you see that had them in the Final Four, everybody's like, well, I actually had Michigan State, but, ESPN just automatically gives you whatever team wins that game. So,
all right.
Pretty funny, I thought.
Who would have Michigan State in the Final Four?
People that love Tom Izzo, it's like January, February, March, Izzo, July, or whatever.
Yep.
You know how that saying goes from that one guy. By the way, Ron Harper Jr. is maybe going to go test his.
He'll be returning.
His feet in the NBA draft. I think there's zero chance that he gets
returning.
Drafted. Yeah, he has to.
Him and EJ Liddell are both going to stay.
He's too slow
in the Big Ten. You know what I can't wait for? When you and I do a season preview show for next season in November. That's
the whole college season.
Oh yeah, we're doing it.
Oh boy,
that's when our next podcast will be after the. I mean, are we going to do one before and after the national championship, or should we just do one after? Because I think we know what the matchup is going to be.
I think just after is fine.
Yeah, we'll just do one after like Tuesday or something or whatever.
Unless it's not what everybody thinks it's going to be.
Even if it is Gonzaga, Houston.
How big of a favorite's Baylor? 5.5?
5 or 5.5 around there. Yeah.
I don't know. That was just me spitballing. So
I have Baylor winning 71-64 and Gonzaga 81-62, which I think is generous for UCLA.
Very. I think
I'd be kind of surprised if UCLA got more than 60.
25.
Yeah, Johnny Juzang is going to have 40 points for UCLA to get above 60 points, probably. So that will be that. And we'll have a national championship game that probably involves Gonzaga and it probably involves Baylor.
We're gonna have one shining moment, folks.
And it won't have
What
Illinois on there.
it's all about. Maybe Curbello's between the leg pass gets put on there. And that'd really piss Adam Miller off. But we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Oh, God. I can't wait to have the one time that we have people actually show up in our stream will be bitch about Adam Miller.
No reason to bitch about it. Dude, the dude wanted to leave, he can leave. Unless he goes to Missouri, then we can bitch about it.
I actually respect him for coming and playing instead of decommitting.
I agree. I mean, nobody. The thing is, when Io said he was coming back, nobody thought he would stay. So the fact that we got him for a year, I think he knew how good this team could be. You know, like, hey, why not go to Illinois and try to win a national championship, and then I can transfer. You know, I get it. So, but yeah, we'll save that conversation for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll discuss that. All right, let's end this here, and we'll be back for this version of the thing on the thing after the
Solid
national championship
outro
or
coming
before.
in.
So there you go. So we'll be live with our Line Show